chaos, drama, or spectacle of the night. Backstage just beyond the curtain, a quiet interview was scheduled with Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow, the woman known for her vibrant energy, unbreakable aura, and nearly unstoppable reputation. Fans were expecting the usual. The fierce smile, the unpredictable gesture, the rapid-fire Japanese phrases, and the intimidating charisma that makes Asuka one of the most captivating performers in WWE. But what happened instead stunned everyone watching. As the cameras started rolling, Asuka stood in her bright gear, still catching her breath after her match. The interviewer asked a simple question, something harmless, something routine. "Asuka, tonight you teamed up again with Bayley after a long time. How did it feel being back on the same side?" A normal question, a normal moment. Then Asuka stopped, not paused, stopped. Her smile faded, her breathing slowed. She looked down, then slowly looked back up, but not with the colorful, expressive Asuka face the WWE Universe knew. This time it was different. Her eyes looked tired, almost emotional. The kind of look you never see from someone who has built a reputation on being larger than life. The interviewer sensed it instantly. The crew sensed it too. In the production room, the director leaned forward, confused. Was this a bit? A joke, a promo, or was something really happening? The silence grew louder. Asuka's voice finally cracked, just barely, softly, but enough for everyone to realize that whatever was coming next wasn't scripted, and then she said it. "Bayley," Asuka whispered, "she saved my career. No one knows that." Everyone froze. Bayley, the same Bayley who battled Asuka in some of the most tense matches of the last decade. The same Bayley who became a ruthless heel, who tore down friendships, who betrayed Sasha Banks, who mocked legends, who turned into one of the most cunning superstars of modern WWE. What was Asuka talking about? The interviewer blinked, unsure whether to continue, but Asuka kept going, stepping out of her character in real time. "There was a time," she continued, her accent softer, more vulnerable than fans had ever heard, "when I was ready to leave WWE. When I felt lost, when I felt invisible. Bayley was the one who told me not to quit. This wasn't the Asuka fans were used to. This wasn't the fearless warrior, the Empress, the unstoppable force. This was the human beneath the face paint, letting the world see something raw, something real." The backstage hallway seemed to shrink around her as she spoke. The crew exchanged looks. The interviewer nodded slowly, encouraging her to continue. Even the audio technician leaned into his headphone, knowing this footage was unlike anything WWE usually allowed to air. Asuka took a deep breath, gathering herself. "Nobody knows what she did for me," she said. "But tonight, I saw her again, and everything came back." For the first time in years, Asuka wasn't performing, she was confessing. And what she was about to reveal next, about Bayley, about their past, about the moment that nearly ended her career, would shake the WWE Universe to its core. Because the truth Asuka was ready to share was one WWE never expected. The moment Asuka's confession slipped into the air, the entire backstage environment changed. The director whispered into the headset, "Keep rolling, don't cut." WWE rarely captured unscripted emotion like this, and everyone knew this was bigger than a segment. This was history unfolding. Asuka looked away for a moment, as if she was replaying a memory she had tried to bury. Her voice steadied, not with confidence, but with honesty. "Few years ago, after my injury, after I returned, I felt like I didn't belong anymore. New faces were coming in, the division changed, fans changed, everything felt different." She pressed a hand to her chest, grounding herself. The interviewer stepped closer, lowering their voice. "Asuka, are you saying you almost walked away from WWE?" Asuka nodded slowly. "Hi, yes, I was tired, I was homesick, I felt like no one understood me. Every week I felt like I was disappearing, little by little." The WWE Universe had never heard this side of her. Asuka, the undefeated NXT icon, the unstoppable streak holder, the Empress, feeling invisible. Feeling like she didn't belong. Fans online would have never guessed it. She continued, "One night I was sitting alone. Everyone else had left. My arm still hurt from surgery. I looked at my gear bag and I thought, I think this is my last day." She let out a shaky exhale as she relived it. "I had my resignation typed into my phone. I was ready." Then she looked up directly at the camera, not as a character, but as a person. And then Bayley walked in. The interviewer raised their brows. No one expected Bayley's name to be the centerpiece of this story, but Asuka pressed on. "She asked me what I was doing there alone. I told her I was thinking. She sat next to me, she didn't joke, she didn't act like her character, she just listened." Asuka wiped the corner of one eye, a tiny gesture but powerful. "She told me, 'You're Asuka, you changed women's wrestling. Don't let your story end because you feel lost. Stay, fight, I'll help you.'" Those words echoed in the hallway. The emotion in Asuka's voice was real. No theatrics, no promo, just truth. "She didn't have to do that," Asuka continued. "She could have left me alone, she could have walked away. But she stayed for 2 hours talking, supporting. She told me every wrestler feels lost sometimes. Even her, even Bayley." The camera caught every tremble in her And then she said something I never forgot. Your presence makes this division better, even on your worst days. The crowd watching at home would be stunned. Bayley, known for being ruthless, manipulative, calculating on screen, being the emotional anchor behind the scene. That wasn't the storyline fans knew, but this wasn't a storyline. This was real. Asuka clutched her fingers together. I decided not to quit, not because of WWE, not because of opportunity, but because Bayley reminded me who I was. The interviewer whispered, "So tonight, when you teamed with her again?" Asuka exhaled slowly. It felt like everything came full circle, and I realized it's time the world knew the truth. What truth? What deeper story was she hinting at? Something bigger was coming, something that would completely change how the WWE Universe viewed both of them. Asuka's breath steadied, but the emotion in her eyes only grew sharper. She wasn't just recalling a memory anymore, she was building up to something heavier, something deeper. The interviewer sensed it and took a careful step forward. "Asuka, you said there's a truth the world needs to know. What did you mean by that?" Asuka closed her eyes for a moment, gathering strength. When she opened them, she looked straight into the camera, breaking the last remaining wall between character and reality. "Bayley didn't just keep me in WWE," she said softly. "Bayley protected me from something nobody knows about." The production crew froze, protected her. "From what?" Asuka continued, her voice shaking slightly. "There was a time when I was struggling, not just physically but mentally. My English wasn't strong. My confidence was low. I felt like I was failing. Many people talked about me behind my back." Her voice dipped. "Some said I didn't belong, that I couldn't connect, that I should go back to Japan." Her fingers trembled as she spoke. "I tried to ignore it. I tried to laugh, but it hurt." The interviewer swallowed hard. This wasn't a storyline. These were the painful realities performers rarely shared. "And one day," Asuka said, "a group of people in the locker room were mocking my accent, my English, my character. They thought I couldn't understand." The hallway seemed to tighten. Even the distant sound of production carts moving fell silent. That's when Asuka dropped the bombshell. "Bayley walked in and she defended me, loud in their faces." Asuka's tone grew stronger. She told them to stop. She told them I was one of the most talented wrestlers in the world. She told them if they had a problem with me, then they had a problem with her. The interviewer's eyes widened. "Bayley said that." Asuka nodded. "She didn't care if it made her unpopular. She didn't care if it made her look weak. She stood up for me when I felt like no one else would. The fans watching would be stunned." Bayley, the same woman who plays a cunning heel, who mocks opponents, who lies, cheats, and manipulates on screen, was the one who defended Asuka's dignity in real life. Asuka clasped her hands together. "People think Bayley is the golden role model, or the arrogant, damaged CTRL leader, or the woman who will do anything to win." She took another breath. "But nobody sees what she does backstage. Nobody sees how she cares, how she helps, how she gives strength to people who are struggling." The interviewer whispered, "So tonight's match with her, it reminded you of all this?" Asuka nodded. "When I saw her across the ring, I remembered the woman who sat with me for 2 hours. The woman who told me not to quit. The woman who defended me when nobody else did." Her voice lowered. "I remembered the real Bayley." She looked down at her hands again. "But that's not even the whole truth." The interviewer leaned in, tension rising. "There's more." Asuka slowly lifted her head, eyes burning with a mix of gratitude and sadness. "Yes, something I never told Bayley. Something I've carried for years." The air in the hallway vibrated with anticipation. This wasn't just a confession. This was the emotional climax building toward a revelation that could shake the WWE Universe. Asuka swallowed, steadying herself. "Bayley doesn't know that she saved more than my career." She paused. "She saved my life." The crew gasped, the interviewer froze, and the WWE Universe. They were about to hear the most emotional chapter of this story. The hallway felt frozen in time. Even the hum of the overhead lights seemed quieter now. Asuka's words hung heavy in the air. "She saved my life." No theatric. No exaggeration. Just a raw truth Asuka had clearly held inside for far too long. The interviewer, stunned but gentle, spoke softly. "Asuka, what do you mean by that?" Asuka took a long breath, as if deciding whether she was truly ready to let the world hear. But something inside her pushed forward. Maybe tonight's reunion with Bayley. Maybe the weight of years she carried. Maybe the freedom of finally breaking character. And with a trembling exhale, she continued. "Years ago," she said, "before I became Asuka, before I came to WWE, I struggled a lot. Wrestling was difficult. Life was difficult. I was alone in a new country, a new language, a new culture. And every mistake felt bigger because I felt like I had nobody to talk to." Asuka looked away, her voice barely above a whisper. "There were nights where the pressure became too much. Nights when I felt like maybe the world didn't need me anymore." The interviewer's expression softened, their eyes reflecting the weight of what they were hearing. This was beyond wrestling, beyond WWE. This was human. "I never told anyone," Asuka continued. "I hid everything behind the face paint, behind the dancing, behind the character. I smiled because I didn't know how to ask for help." She remembered the night vividly, every detail etched in her memory. One night backstage, after a loss, I broke down in the locker room. I thought I was alone. I was sitting on the floor, shaking, trying to breathe. I felt like I was drowning in loneliness. Her fingers shook as she relived the moment. And then Bayley walked in. The interviewer leaned closer, barely breathing. She didn't ask what happened, Asuka said. She didn't tell me to stop crying. She didn't pretend everything was okay. She just sat down beside me, slowly. Quietly, like she understood. Asuka's voice cracked. She put her arm around me. She whispered, "You're not alone, I'm here." And I believed her. For the first time, I believed someone cared. The camera captured every tear glistening in Asuka's eyes. She talked to me until I calmed down. She made me laugh. She gave me water. She told me everyone breaks sometimes, even the strongest. Asuka pressed a hand to her heart. That night, I was in a very dark place. And I don't know what would have happened if she hadn't come in, if she hadn't stayed with me. The moment settled like a storm clearing. "Bayley doesn't know," Asuka whispered. "I never told her. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to seem weak. I didn't want anyone to think the Empress could fall apart." The interviewer gently asked, "So why tell the world now?" Asuka looked directly into the lens. No character, no paint, no mask. "Because tonight, teaming with her, I realized life is too short to hide the people who save us. The world needs to know who she really is, and she deserves to know the truth too." The intensity of her confession radiated through the entire backstage area. Crew members who had been watching discreetly were visibly emotional. No one expected this night to turn into one of the most heartfelt revelations in WWE history, and Asuka wasn't done yet. Because her next and final confession would reveal exactly how tonight's match changed everything, and what she needs Bayley to finally hear from her. Asuka took one final breath, the kind that signals a truth she had guarded for far too long. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice, when she finally spoke, carried a quiet strength, the strength of someone who had survived storms no one ever saw. "Tonight," she began, "when Bayley stood beside me in that ring, I didn't just see a partner. I didn't just see a former rival. I saw the woman who saved my spirit when it was breaking." Her eyes softened, a mixture of gratitude and relief filling them. "And I realized something I should have said years ago." The interviewer waited, heart pounding, with the same suspense the WWE Universe was feeling from behind their screen. Asuka continued. "Every time fans saw me return stronger, every time I fought harder, every time I came back from setbacks, Bayley's words were in my heart." She pressed a hand to her chest. "She gave me courage when I had none." Her breathing steadied and she looked down, almost ashamed. "But I never thanked her, not properly, not honestly. I kept pretending I was fine. I kept being the character. I thought if I said the truth, maybe it would change things, maybe it would change how people saw me." She slowly lifted her eyes again. "But tonight, I realized that the strongest thing you can do is tell someone you're grateful." A faint smile touched her face, not playful, not exaggerated, but genuine. "So Bayley, if you're watching this, I want to say something." The interviewer stepped slightly aside, giving Asuka the frame. The camera zoomed in. This was the moment. "Bayley, arigato." The Japanese word for thank you left her lips softly. "Thank you for saving my career. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible." Her voice trembled. "Thank you for being my friend, even when I didn't know how to be one back." There were tears in her eyes, but she didn't hide them. She let the emotion live, letting the WWE Universe finally see the true person behind the Emperor. "And I want to tell the world," she said, "that behind every great rivalry, there can be great respect. Behind every heel, there can be a heart, and behind every painted smile, sometimes there is pain." The interviewer swallowed hard. "Asuka, is there anything else you want to say?" Asuka nodded. "Yes, tonight wasn't just a match. It was a reminder." She paused. "A reminder that even in WWE, even in this wild, crazy world of characters and storyline, the kindness we show each other is real." She wiped her cheek and smiled softly. "I hope one day Bayley and I can stand together again, not as characters, not as enemies, but as two women who survived this world together." The emotion in the hallway was overwhelming. Even crew members were wiping their eyes, understanding the power of what they had just witnessed. WWE superstars walk through storms fans never see, but tonight, Asuka revealed a truth the cameras were never meant to. She ended with one final message to the WWE Universe. "Be kind. You never know whose life you might save." The camera slowly zoomed out as Asuka bowed her head respectfully, and the screen faded. If you felt the emotion of Asuka's story, if you believe this truth needed to be heard, then like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful WWE stories the cameras never show. Hit the bell icon so you never miss the next shocking backstage revelation.